Wisdom, wisdom, that's the test. Which rival wisdom team is best? 52 teams of 8 antique rival wisdoms that have passed the test of time to encourage, educate, and entertain generations for centuries. Team 1, never stop improving. Quote definitions, biographical context, and synergy analysis. To replacehate.org with motivationaleducation.com to guidealife.com. Quote 1.1, good, better, best. Never let it rest. Till your good is better and your better is best. St. Jerome 347 to 420 AD. Quote definition. The commitment to continuous improvement, never accepting any current level of performance as a final standard, is the operating principle of genuine excellence. Good is not the best. Better is not the best. Only best deserves rest, and even then only temporarily, because the best of the day becomes a good that tomorrow must improve upon. The rhyme makes the principle memorable. The principle is relentless. Quote application. The opening quote of the entire 52-team collection establishes a foundational standard. Never stop improving. Every workbook, every community engagement, every piece of wisdom shared in the mission of making America wiser and kinder is measured against this standard. Good enough to continue, not good enough to stop. The good, better, best sequence is the mission's permanent operating rhythm. St. Jerome was born as Eusebius Sophronius Hieronymus, around 347 AD in Stridon, a town on the border of what is now Croatian Slovenia. He was educated in Rome and became the most learned biblical scholar of the Western Church. His greatest achievement was the Vulgate, the Latin translation of the Bible from the original Hebrew and Greek that remained the standard biblical text of Western Christianity for over 1,000 years. He translated the entire Old Testament from Hebrew at a time when almost no Western scholar read the language. He learned it as an adult specifically for the purpose, and produced a translation of sufficient accuracy and literary power to shape the Latin of the medieval West. Whether the good, better, best rhyme is genuinely his or a popular attribution is historically uncertain, but it is entirely consistent with the perfectionist drive that his Vulgate represents. He could have produced an adequate translation and did not, because adequate was not best. This quote specifically encourages individuals to 1. Treat every current level of performance, however genuinely good, as the starting point for a further improvement rather than the destination of completed effort. 2. Build a relentless improvement habit into every dimension of the mission. The workbook improved from its last version, the community engagement refined from its last attempt, the wisdom content deepened from its initial expression. 3. Apply the rhyme's rhythm as a mnemonic for the operating standard. Good is where you are. Better is where you aim, best is where you keep going, and never let it rest until a movement from good through better toward best has become the natural operating mode.
Quote 1.2. If you want to lift yourself up, lift up someone else. Booker T. Washington, 1856 to 1915. Definition. The most reliable path to genuine personal elevation runs through the act of lifting others. The person who genuinely helps another develop is simultaneously developing the capacities that helping requires. Service to others is not the sacrifice of self-elevation, but its most reliable mechanism. Application. The entire structure of the Replace Hate mission is built on this principle. Lifting communities through wisdom education simultaneously lifts everyone who participates in the lifting. The teacher who teaches these principles learns them more deeply. The community leader who builds wisdom education in their neighborhood builds their own wisdom in the building. The person who extends genuine kindness makes themselves more capable of genuine kindness. Lift someone else. Rise yourself. Booker Taliaferro Washington was born into slavery in 1856 on a plantation in Franklin County, Virginia. Was freed at 9 when the Civil War ended. He educated himself and others simultaneously, literally, by teaching by day and studying by night at Hampton Institute. He founded the Tuskegee Institute in Alabama in 1881 with no money and enormous opposition. He built it into one of the most significant black educational institutions in American history, and became the most influential African-American leader of his era. His Up from Slavery is one of the great American autobiographies. He built himself up by lifting teachers, students, community members, institutions, and his observation about the mechanism of self-elevation through lifting others is drawn from direct, sustained experience of exactly the dynamic he named. He had no other mechanism available and discovered that it was the best one. This quote specifically encourages individuals to 1. Invest in genuinely lifting others through wisdom education, mentorship, authentic community building, as the most reliable available mechanism of personal development and genuine self-elevation. 2. Recognize the mutual elevation as genuine rather than incidental. The lifting is not merely strategically useful for the lifter, but the mechanism through which the lifter's own most important capacities are developed. 3. Apply Washington's principle to the mission's deepest motivation. The work of making America wiser and kinder lifts everyone who participates in the lifting, making the mission simultaneously altruistic and self-developing in the fullest available sense.
Quote 1.3. It is never too late to be what you might have been. George Eliot, 1819–1880. Definition: the self that one might have become, wiser, kinder, more genuinely excellent, more fully human, remains available as a destination regardless of how much time has passed or how far the current self seems from it. The possibility of genuine transformation is not limited by age, by past failure, or by the distance between present reality and potential self. It is never too late because the transformation is always available in the present moment. Application: the mission of making America wiser and kinder depends on this principle's truth. It reaches people who have spent decades in the patterns of hatred, prejudice, and smallness, and invites them to become what they might have been. Every honest community engagement is the living demonstration of George Eliot's principle. The transformation remains available, it has not expired, and today is when it begins. George Eliot, born in 1819 in Nuneaton, England, as Mary and Evans. Eliot wrote under a male pseudonym to ensure her work was taken seriously because that was how did things in those days. Her observation that it is never too late to be what you might have been is both the hope she extended through her fiction and the biographical truth she lived. She became George Eliot, one of the greatest novelists in the English language, from a beginning that gave no particular indication she would. It was never too late for her either. This quote specifically encourages individuals to 1. Refuse the despair of lateness, the feeling that too much time has passed, too many wrong turns have been taken, too much distance has accumulated between present self and possible self, because the transformation remains genuinely available now. 2. Apply this to the people the mission serves who seem most fixed in hatred and division. The possibility of becoming what they might have been has not expired for them either, and the mission's work is to make the transformation feel as genuinely available as it actually is. 3. Use Eliot's principle as the standing refutation of every too late. Too late to learn, too late to change, too late to build genuine wisdom and genuine kindness. None of these is ever actually true, and the mission holds the proof.
Quote 1.4. He who knows that enough is enough will always have enough. Lao Tzu 601–531 BC. Definition: the person who has genuinely internalized the sense of sufficiency, who knows from genuine wisdom rather than external standard when enough is enough, possesses a freedom from perpetual wanting that no accumulation can provide. Knowing enough is not resignation but the achievement of genuine contentment, the recognition that what is genuinely sufficient is already genuinely present. Application: the never stop improving principle of this team requires Lao Tzu's balancing wisdom. Improvement toward genuine excellence is not the same as the restless accumulation of more. The mission improves continuously toward better wisdom, better community, better service to human dignity, and simultaneously recognizes when the present is genuinely sufficient for the present purpose. Both disciplines together produce the most effective and most sustainable engagement with the work. Lao Tzu appears in Teams 46 and 52 as well, where his principles about anticipating difficulty through managing the easy anchored those frameworks. The attributed author of the Tao Te Ching, Lao Tzu's observation about enough is enough comes from his deepest philosophical conviction. The Tao, the natural order of things, produces genuine sufficiency for those aligned with it, and the recognition of that sufficiency is itself the wisdom that ensures its continuation. The paradox is precise. The person who always needs more never has enough. The person who knows enough is enough always has it, because they have recognized it where it already exists. It is an epistemological observation as much as a moral one. Knowing changes the reality of what is possessed. This quote specifically encourages individuals to 1. Develop the genuine wisdom of recognizing sufficiency, knowing when enough is genuinely enough, as distinct from both the resignation that settles for less than is needed and the restlessness that cannot recognize enough when it is present. 2. Apply Lao Tzu's balance to the mission's continuous improvement. Improve toward genuine excellence while simultaneously recognizing when the present genuine effort is genuinely sufficient for the present genuine need. 3. Recognize the paradox as practically sound. The mission that knows when enough is enough will always have enough, because it will have recognized and used the genuine sufficiency that the restless mission's perpetual wanting will perpetually miss.
Quote 1.5. Write your injuries in dust, your benefits in marble. Benjamin Franklin, 1706 to 1790. Definition: the practical management of memory, what is given permanent recording and what is allowed to fade, shapes the entire quality of one's emotional and relational life. Injuries recorded in dust are released when the first wind comes, while benefits recorded in marble are permanently accessible, continuously available for the gratitude and generosity they deserve. The choice of medium is the choice of what endures. Application: the mission of replacing hate with wisdom is itself a project of re-recording, teaching communities to write their injuries in dust, to release the grievances that hatred tries to inscribe in marble, and their benefits in the permanent record that gratitude and genuine connection deserve. Franklin's principle is both the mission's personal operating standard and a description of what the mission aims to help communities achieve. Benjamin Franklin appears throughout these 52 teams with characteristic practical wisdom. Born in 1706 in Boston and largely self-educated, Franklin's observation about dust and marble reflects his lifelong attention to the practical mechanisms of good character, not merely the virtuous intention but the habitual practice that shapes how memory, gratitude, and grievance actually operate. His Poor Richard's Almanac and autobiography are full of exactly this kind of practical prescription, not the abstract moral command but the concrete operational instruction for how to actually live better. He had written his own injuries in dust consistently enough that his extraordinary range of friendships across decades of high-stakes political life was sustained by the gratitude that marble-recorded benefits produced. This quote specifically encourages individuals to 1. Apply the dust and marble practice deliberately. When an injury arrives, write it in dust, acknowledge it, process it, release it to the first wind. When a benefit arrives, write it in marble, record it, return to it, let it sustain the gratitude that genuine relationship requires. 2. Recognize the opposite practice, injuries in marble, benefits in dust, as the operating mechanism of hatred and bitterness, and the mission's work as teaching the reversal of that mechanism. 3. Apply Franklin's practical wisdom to the mission's community work. The community whose injuries are inscribed in marble and whose benefits have faded is the community most in need of the dust and marble reversal that wisdom education makes possible.
Quote 1.6. Genius begins great works, labor alone finishes them. Joseph Joubert, 1754 to 1824. Definition: the flash of genuine insight, the creative spark that begins a great work, is available relatively to many people. What is far rarer is the sustained labor that converts the inspired beginning into the finished accomplishment. Genius without labor produces brilliant beginnings that remain perpetually unfinished. Labor without genius produces completed mediocrity. Together, in the right sequence, they produce the great work that neither alone achieves. Application: the mission of making America wiser and kinder has its genius. The insight that wisdom can replace hatred, that human dignity is universal, that genuine community is built through genuine encounter. What transforms the genius into actual accomplished change is Joubert's labor. The workbook completed, the community engagement sustained, the wisdom education continued through the difficulties and the slow periods that separate the inspired beginning from the finished great work. Joseph Joubert appears in teams 19 and 27 as well, where his observations about imagination as the eye of the soul and teaching as double learning anchored those frameworks. Born in 1754 in Montignac, Périgord, France, Joubert published nothing during his lifetime, convinced his thoughts were too undeveloped for print, were published posthumously by his friend Chateaubriand to immediate wide recognition. His observation about genius and labor is itself an illustration of its principle. The genius of his insight was present throughout his private notebooks, but it required the posthumous labor of publication and editing to become the finished work that the world could receive. He understood the distinction from inside the experience of having the genius without always completing the labor, which is perhaps why his formulation is so precisely honest about what each contributes. This quote specifically encourages individuals to 1. Honor both the genius of the inspired beginning and the labor that finishes it, neither dismissing the inspiration as unnecessary nor trusting it to complete what only labor can accomplish. 2. Apply the genius and labor sequence honestly to the mission's work. The great insight has been had. The great labor of converting it into accomplished cultural change is what the mission is doing, day by day, workbook by workbook, community by community. 3. Use Joubert's principle as the standing answer to the person who had the great idea but has not yet done the labor. Genius begins it, labor finishes it, and the finishing is the greater achievement of the two.
Quote 1.7. Experience is one thing you can't get for nothing. Oscar Wilde, 1854-1900. Definition. Experience, the genuine knowledge that comes from actual engagement with life's full range, is always purchased at a real cost of time, effort, discomfort, and sometimes suffering. There is no shortcut that delivers genuine experience without paying its price, and the attempt to acquire the wisdom of experience without paying for it produces only the appearance of experience rather than its substance. The price is the mechanism of the acquisition. Application. The wisdom in these 52 teams represents the purchased experience of 2,500 years of human life, paid for by the people who lived it, at costs that ranged from inconvenience to death. The mission makes that purchased experience available for the education cost of encountering it honestly, which is incomparably cheaper than the original acquisition price. But Wilde's principle still applies. Even receiving others' purchased experience requires the real engagement that costs something genuine. Oscar Wilde was born in 1854 in Dublin, Ireland, educated at Trinity College Dublin and Oxford. He became the most celebrated wit in London, and produced In the Importance of Being Earnest, The Picture of Dorian Gray, and his fairy tales a body of work that combined genuine brilliance with genuine moral insight. His observation that experience cannot be got for nothing was not abstract. He had paid the full price for his own experience, in a currency far more costly than most people are asked to pay. This quote specifically encourages individuals to 1. Accept the genuine cost of genuine experience, the time, effort, discomfort, and sometimes suffering that real engagement with life requires, rather than seeking the appearance of experience at the shortcut price that delivers nothing genuine. 2. Apply this to the mission's wisdom education. The people who genuinely receive these principles pay the real cost of genuine engagement with them. Reflection, honest self-examination, the willingness to change, and that cost is what makes the received wisdom genuine. 3. Honor the experience that 2,500 years of human wisdom represents by engaging with it at the honest price it asks. Not reading through but genuinely receiving, not accumulating but genuinely absorbing, not bypassing the cost but paying it fully.
Quote 1.8. It does not matter how slowly you go as long as you do not stop. Confucius 551-479 BC. Definition. Progress is measured by continuation, not by speed. The slowest genuine advance toward a genuinely worthy goal outperforms the fastest movement in the wrong direction, or the most impressive preparation that never begins to move. The non-negotiable condition of progress is not velocity but continuity. Go slowly if you must, but do not stop. Application. Team 1 closes with the principle that makes the openings never stop improving sustainable across the years and decades that genuine cultural change requires. The mission may move slowly, cultural transformation always does, but it does not stop. The workbook released late is better than the workbook abandoned. The community reached gradually is more genuinely reached than the community approached once and never returned to. Slowly is fine. Stopped is not. Confucius. Born Kong Ka in 551 BC in China and spent his adult life attempting to implement ethical governance and teaching a small circle of devoted students. Confucius moved slowly through a world that was not ready for what he was offering, and did not stop. His teaching career shaped 2,000 years of Chinese civilization, and much of East Asian culture is the product of a man who did not stop, however slowly he sometimes moved. This quote specifically encourages individuals to 1. Refuse stopping as an option regardless of how slowly the current rate of progress feels, because slow movement toward a genuinely worthy goal is always more productive than the stopped non-movement that impatience with slowness sometimes produces. 2. Apply this to the mission's most discouraging periods, the slow community, the difficult quarter, the period when progress is invisible. These are not reasons to stop but conditions to move through slowly if necessary, because movement at any speed beats stopping at any moment. 3. Use Confucius's closing principle as the complete statement of Team 1. Never stop improving, Jerome. Lift by lifting others, Washington. Never too late, Eliot. Know enough, Lao Tzu. Right injuries in dust, Franklin. Finish what genius begins, Joubert. Pay the price of experience, Wilde. And through all of it, do not stop.
How they work together as a unified philosophy. The never stop improving framework. Standard layer. The relentless improvement rhythm and the mechanism of lifting. Quotes 1-2. St. Jerome. Open the entire 52-team collection with the foundational operating standard. Good, better, best. Never let it rest. Making continuous improvement the permanent baseline rather than an occasional aspiration. Washington. Provide the mechanism through which that improvement most reliably and most mutually occurs. Lift someone else to lift yourself. Grounding the relentless improvement in genuine service to others rather than self-focused striving. Together, the standard and the mechanism of never-stopping improvement. Jerome's relentless rhythm establishes the permanent operating mode. Good is not the destination. Better is not the destination. Best is the direction, and improvement is the continuous movement. Washington's lifting mechanism ensures that the movement is simultaneously self-elevating and other-serving. The most reliable available path to genuine personal improvement running directly through genuine service to another's improvement. Hope layer. Never too late and enough is always enough for the wise. Quotes 3-4. Eliot. Remove the despair of lateness. It is never too late to become what you might have been, making the transformation available at every moment regardless of how much time has passed or how far the current self seems from the possible one. Lao Tzu. Balance the relentless improvement with the genuine wisdom of sufficiency, knowing when enough is enough, preventing the improvement rhythm from becoming the anxious restlessness that never recognizes genuine achievement. Together, the hope and the balance of continuous improvement. Eliot's Never Too Late keeps the door perpetually open for everyone the mission serves, at every age and every stage of life, however deep the patterns of hatred have run. Lao Tzu's enough is enough prevents the open door from becoming a restless treadmill, genuine sufficiency recognized where it genuinely exists, while the improvement continues toward what is genuinely not yet sufficient. Never too late, never needing more than enough. Practice layer. Injuries in dust and genius finished by labor. Quotes 5-6. Franklin. Provide the practical memory management that continuous improvement requires. Injuries in dust, benefits in marble, so that what is improved toward is the marble recorded best rather than the marble recorded injury that bitterness substitutes. Joubert. Establish the two-stage structure of every great improvement. Genius begins it, labor finishes it, ensuring that the inspired beginning is followed by the sustained labor that converts inspiration into accomplishment. Together, the practical management and the completion structure of continuous improvement. Franklin's dust and marble practice keeps the improvement oriented toward what matters, the benefits that deserve permanent record, rather than the injuries that marble recording converts from experience into bitterness. Joubert's genius and labor sequence ensures that what the improvement produces is finished rather than perpetually beginning. The great work that only labor completes, however brilliantly genius begins it. Persistence layer. Experience's real price and never stopping. Quote 7-8. Wilde. Establish the genuine cost of genuine experience. It cannot be got for nothing, ensuring that the continuous improvement is built on honestly paid for experience rather than its cheap imitation. Confucius. Close the team and open the entire collection's theme with the one non-negotiable condition of all genuine improvement. Do not stop, making continuity of movement the single most important variable regardless of pace. Together, the honest cost and the non-negotiable continuity of never-stop improvement. Wilds Cannot Be Got for Nothing ensures that the improvement is genuine, built on honestly engaged experience, rather than its shortcut approximation. Confucius's "do not stop" is the single absolute. Move at whatever pace the situation permits, but do not stop, because the only guaranteed failure is the stopping that converts the slowest advance into no advance at all.
Free Easy Extra Advantage Math, Spelling and Reading Workbooks you can download for free at stop2think.com or buy at educationstopshate.com. Free Easy Math Wisdom Workbooks with octo repetition to grow math self-confidence. You'll get plenty of repetitive practice of age ranges and averages of our 52 teams of 8 quote authors. Free Easy Alpha Cipher Coded Puzzles teach letters, numbers, and phrases using antique wisdoms that encourage and educate. Can you decode this cipher quote of encouragement using either our Learning to Spell or just for fun instructions? And since time is money, practice reading faster with 52 teams of antique rival wisdoms that have passed the test of time to encourage, educate, and entertain generations for centuries. We offer printed versions and timed videos with background music. Sign up for free weekly emails of 52 teams of antique rival wisdom workbooks with easy math, spelling, and reading practice. And, if you'd like to get paid for sharing our wearable wisdoms, keep this in mind. Everyone I know wears a shirt, and most of us change them daily, so change your shirt and change the world. Social equalities are blatantly subliminal antique positive wisdoms repetitively shared without saying a word. This applies to all our wearable shareable wisdoms, like pretty witty baby onesies and baby tees that you and others will see and read multiple times a day. The same is true with pretty witty kids, but they'll also share these wisdoms with anyone that can read at daycare or school. Youthful truths let your kids gain confidence sharing antique wisdoms with their friends. Imagine them sharing words of wisdom with classmates and teachers. Therefore I think tees I wear is a super easy way to share words of wisdom that have passed the test of time. Our social equalities help make us all wiser and kinder with blatantly subliminal messages promoting a more fair and equal opportunity society for all. And don't forget our giftwisdoms.com for birthdays and holidays that makes it easy to share the wisdom with clothing, coffee mugs, and magnets. So do the future a favor by encouraging, educating, and entertaining with words of wisdom that have passed the test of time to make us all wiser and kinder. With wearable wisdoms to fit babies, kids, and adults, you can clothe a whole family, city, or state. Join the 52 of 8 today.